Good evening, Jace.
Good evening, Sean.
How is it going this evening?
It is going well.
Excellent, excellent. Let us know out there, folks, if you guys can both hear us well. Episode 155, ready to kick off here tonight. We'll be talking about a smattering of things, all things Star Wars Legion, of course. We are going to be hitting up a little bit of conversation around the new Legion format. We are going to be talking a little bit about LVO, reacts to that, what we saw, what we were surprised by. We're going to give you guys a chance, of course, in the roundtable. We're going to encourage some participation tonight. So if you are chatting on the roundtable tonight, we're going to send you guys Friday Night Fights sticker. I have some, I got lots of stickers actually. We're going to get those out for you guys. You guys will have a choice of the holographic version. I think I have a few of the matte versions left, a little less of the matte versions. So first come, first serve on that. But there you have it, the matte version. So thank you. Thanks, sir, for letting us know that we sound good. Also, if you guys didn't see me in the pre-show, I was busy here in the background. My wife stopped at the post office and picked up not one, but two rather large boxes of 3D printed terrain. So these are, hey, we said in January we would be getting our Corvus Games terrain. While it missed it by about a few days, we want to definitely thank them. That is coming here. And then also shout out to Panhandle 3D LLC. That is actually the group that did the printing for them, for us. So shouts to both. We're loving it.
Oh yeah, it looks fantastic.
The early content is here, so it will be more of a city look. Sorry, I should get in front of the microphone. It will be more of a city look, and first blush, very clean, exceptionally clean. No flash, no anything. Really clean lines, and I'm liking it. So workable interiors, and I think this stuff's going to be great with the new terrain. So look for that. Maybe tomorrow. So we'll talk a little bit about what tomorrow's going to look like. But let's get through tonight's show. In addition, we're going to be talking a little bit about the prep to Worlds. Jace is going to, well, we're going to do a little bit of a league recap. That'll be our last week in Legion. We'll save that. Talk about our league games and how our league groups are going. Jace will break down his league game, which was played on a Friday night fight. We're going to do a little bit of, it's printed, 3D printed. PLA. We are going to also break down, have a little bit more of a robust conversation around the lists used last round, because Jace has got a couple reps in with it, and I have several reps in with the same list, or very similar. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to talk about, we're going to do the housekeeping here in a minute. We're going to then get into the news, both the Twitter information that's released, as well as a little brief about the new format. We haven't played or deep dived into that, so I don't want to presume to be experts. We'll give kind of first reactions, more reactions to the release of it, and then we'll talk a little bit about LVO. I watched a ton of Legion, so that conversation will be, I think, fairly robust and interesting. Then we'll have a look at, Jace is going to do a little segment, because you asked, and we'll get into two rules tonight, both linked to Disembark, and then we will do our roundtable discussion where we'll ask you a bunch of Legion-related topics, or give you, I guess, Legion-related topics. And if you come on and follow the format, you will be able to get yourself a Legion, Friday Night Fights sticker. So Blizzard Worlds, yeah, well, fair enough. We'll get into that conversation, and you will have an opportunity to tell us your thoughts around that as well. So, Jace, you ready to kick this off, or what?
Oh, you bet.
Cool. All right. Well, let's do this first. We'll get into, well, maybe what we'll do. Let's get the social medias. How do people find us first? Let's do that part.
You bet. So, you got us here on YouTube. Definitely also check us out on Facebook, Star Wars Legion Friday Night Fights, Twitter and Instagram at Legion_FNF. And of course, check out the Patreon. We got lots of cool stuff going out on there.
Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit about the Patreon, both cleaning up some silly Patreon things, as well as what's happening on the Patreon right now, because it has been exceptionally robust and active, and I want to let you guys know what you can see on there. So on the topic of that, you guys know that we have card sleeves coming out later in the year. I only mention these because I want to make sure you guys don't lose sight of that. And I've talked about a few things. There's 3 things coming out this year. 2 are on Patreon, 1's off Patreon, and already 2 are in the works. So we are well on our way, kind of getting all this 2023 stuff out in the first part of the year so that you have it for the length of the 2023 year and, of course, beyond. It's not going to expire, I assure you. Hey, and I know why, because my Worlds invite from 2019 still valid. Just shout outs to Worlds 2019. So the next perk that you can expect if you got in on this, and this is not necessarily a Patreon perk, but we open this up to all our folks, is the jerseys. The order went in. They are due to arrive in studio, according to the site that I ordered them from today, same site as before, March 8th. So pretty quick turnaround on that. I will bring the shirts for folks that want them to Adepticon. Other than that, folks know that they will pay the shipping on that. Those are in. I will be repping them in the studio, and hopefully you guys like it. I'm not opposed to doing another order later in the year on this particular one, just because I know that we've got a whole bunch of new people on, and I don't think you guys have even seen or had a chance to get our old jerseys, but we'll probably do 2 on this one throughout the year. I'm looking forward to it. Even talked my wife into getting a jersey this year, so she'll be repping that. Whether you see her at an event, that's another thing. But from the home front, we will definitely be representing that. So I can't wait for the folks who did order to get them, and then once we get the order here, we'll probably have some jealous folks, and maybe we'll do a second order on those. So that is done today, placed this morning. And like I said, we'll see those in studio hopefully sooner rather than later. Next up is the tokens. So the token order right now is, or the ability to order the tokens is live on the Patreon. You can go there. There's a token tier. I had some really eager folks, and I was trying to be super accommodating to them, and I opened it up at the tail end of January. Those folks immediately migrated over, they grabbed the bundle, and then Patreon decided to charge them within days twice. I will tell you, though, within 24 hours, I have taken care of all that. I reached out personally. It was only like 6 or 7 people that had migrated over in that window of time, but they have all been taken care of, and I do apologize for that. I didn't think that was going to happen. It's weird, and in fact, I actually discounted the entirety of the month for them, just for the inconvenience, which most of them didn't even know because I was so quick on it. But they were like, why are you refunding me money? You got charged twice, but now I've taken care of that. But if you join now, between now and the end of February, it will not have an issue. You will be charged once, and then you can jump in and jump out, and you'll be getting a sleeve of these. It's 26 tokens. If you guys haven't seen them, they are awesome. I will hold them up real briefly here. You can see how large they are. There's a core, so no mistaking that from a distance. It does have the Shield logo on the back, and it's got a little bit of a transparent logo there. You can see there's the heavies, and there's a ton of, obviously they're on the screen, just another heavy token. There's 26 in the set, so you get all kinds. I even had one individual who was so keen on playing Dark Troopers, he ordered 3 sets of tokens. So he'll be definitely representing. They're not cheap folks, but they're also not cheap quality. So that is why, if you want them, the order is going in at the end of January, no questions, and that's it for the year. Limited run based on who wants them. Go check it out on the Train Studio Patreon. We do not do any of this without the folks that help us. So here's our patrons and our donators. You guys have been helping us for well over a couple of years now. And we do want to thank you, both the patrons past and present, as well as the donators. You guys have us nearly there. 53% of the way there on getting our PTZ camera. I think we're still going down that bird dog track. I've been looking at another one at similar price. So if I change the model, it's not going to be a big deal. The PTZ camera is going to be awesome. If you guys were watching LVO, Endless, David from Yavin Base, he has a PTZ camera, and it's not this one here, but it does the trick. It works for him, and you guys can see the ability to kind of move around from a stationary position, which is fantastic. So if you want to see what this is going to do for the studio, go check out Endless' stream. I recommend you check out it anyway. But this is what we're working towards here in the studio. And we want to thank those folks. Remember, it's theterrainstudio2019@gmail.com. You can also just join the Patreon, get some perks, and help us out that way as well. So thank you very much for that. Okay, Jace, the league.
Yeah.
You're in a pod. You're rocking.
I am back in a pod.
How many games you got logged? You got 2 games in?
I have already played the same amount of games I played in all of round 1.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, round 2.
So 2.
Yep, I've played 2 games.
My group's ducking me. Heavy, real bad. I got you on
Good,
screen right
good.
now, by the way, too. So you can keep working. But so Jace is in a pod. I'm in a pod. We're not in the same one. Jace is actually in with Anthony, but we're going to get into your league game. But before we get into your first league game with Anthony, why don't you tell us, or that league game, why don't you tell us about your other game that you played? How'd that one go?
Yeah, so I played, as Sean said, 2 games. One against Anthony. One I played against. Oh boy.
I can go to your. What group are you in?
I am in Hoth. I'm
Okay.
trying to remember. I apologize for forgetting your name. There's 7 in their group, so trying to keep track of which ones I have and haven't played. I
got them right here on
played.
the screen for you here, Jace, if you want.
Yeah, Dirty Rogue. That's it. That is it.
Gotcha. All right,
Sweet.
and how did
Yep.
that-
So I
how
played
that
Dirt.
game go?
So I ended up winning that game on KP, 2-1. I took his KP and I took my own, and we tied on the middle.
Right.
He was running a Iden with Inferno, IG-88, and Cad Bane in Empire, along with 2 Shores, 2 Mortars, and an Imperial Officer, so that he would be able to infiltrate Iden to get the triple op, because that's a rule now, apparently. It was very interesting. So I was blue. I mean, I have a massive 18-point bid in my list. So
Yep.
I think I guaranteed blue against my entire pod.
Mm-hmm.
So objectives came out, and it came out breakthrough, key positions, bombing run, payload. So he obviously got rid of breakthrough, and I just left it at key positions, because if I got rid of that and pushed it to bombing run, he was just going to go to payload, which I was like, key positions for me is better than payload. But because of that, we ended up getting danger close, because otherwise we were going to go to hemmed in on key positions, which would have been great for me.
Really good for you.
And we had minefield, which is great, because I've got 4 units, 2 of which start in buses that can set off minefields. And that is it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, IG-88 died turn 2. Still confirming my theory that IG-88 will never live past turn 2.
Well, in fairness, I did play a game, and he lived till the first activation of turn 3.
He won't live past turn 2 any game that I play. Any game that I play with or against him, he will die turn 2.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was fun. I couldn't kill Cad the whole game, but oh boy, did I keep him suppressed.
Yeah,
Cad
likes it on one turn, but not the rest of the game.
He does, but when he's got between 6 to 9 every turn, doesn't really work so well for him. I sent my bikes, 1 bus and with 1 Black Sun towards all of his characters that he had on his long table side.
Yep.
And then I sent the other bus with the 1 Black Sun against his back line towards his back KP, which was held by both Shores and his mortars. And those 2 units took out all 4 of them and the officer. So it took out 5 of his 9. Also, so turn 1, he hits one of my buses, takes off both shields. I proceed to roll back 1 shield the entire game.
Yeah, been there. Yep. And those games, I did watch most of your game. Actually, Zuri and I tuned in for your game from a doctor's office. Did you just roll nothing but surges when you were trying to roll shields back? Because that's what happens.
Surges and blanks. There were a lot of blanks in there too, though.
Yeah,
yep.
Well, that's fair.
I didn't even roll them. I only rolled 2 surges. The rest of it was just blanks.
Right. Well, that is how that goes. So we are going to hear more about Jace's game. We're going to come up. Let's just jump back to the league rounds here for a second. So you got 2 bounties still in your round, Jace.
I do. I still got to play both of them.
Yeah, for sure. So, and you've played Anthony, and you've now played Dirty Rogue. So Jace has got a ton of games still to be played in this round. He's got
still 5 left.
Yeah, huge group. This is my group right here. I have played all of 1 game. I played J-Rod so far. Like I said, my group is ducking me hard, particularly Justice with the bounty token. just every excuse possible. Like, I think at one point he said he just had to like turn over all the rocks in his driveway to let the rain wash the other side, something like some ridiculous excuse like that. So he's just got all the excuses. But no, looking forward to playing these folks. And like I said, I haven't played several of these guys, so I'm looking forward to that. I got a rematch against Silent Sword. I'm not sure how many times I played JD at this point, but and then Exeter I have to play, and Eric. We were trying to get a game in, but it just didn't line up. But I'm confident that I'll get some games in. We won't talk too much about the other groups, but here they are. Crate. I got Frizzle in here, Canadian Bear, who's actually in chat, as well as Strange Events, so maybe they can sound off and let us know how their groups are doing here in the chat. And then the other group we have is Taco Dana, and that's got all the bounties. So OS Dad, Mr. Woody in there, Dash is in there. So look out, boys. Dash is in there, coming off the second place finish at LVO, which we'll talk a little bit about. He's got the bounty token on him, but he might be a little bit hard coming off. I think he's running the list, either the list or very similar to the list he just took to LVO. So don't envy any of you guys in the matchups there. So. So that is what's going on in that. I want to talk a little bit about Patreon. I talked a little bit about the perks, but I just put up a small clip. I'm actually starting to do the base work on the Shadow Collective. So if you guys are interested, I just did it's about a 20-minute clip or so on how I'm going to go about laying the base work for these. So I'm going to work through my Shadow Collective. So the base might change as I go through, but just really kind of giving you sort of techniques and how I do that. So if you're interested in that, that's up for the patrons. And like I said, the $5 tier gets you all the content that ever was or will be. I am still working on the Lord of the Rings project. February should be a heavy month for that one. So look for that, but I did want to say I just threw this video up. If you guys want to go check that out. A lot of videos are free, and they all become free eventually, so you don't have to be a patron, and you can still go to the Patreon and join up for free, and you guys can see all the information that's released to the public, and as it cycles through, you get that as well. So, Jace and I are going to actually play a game tomorrow. Full disclosure, it may be sort of a budget Friday Night Fights, just because I had to do all the screens tonight for this. And I will probably run out of minutes tonight, but I think what Jason and I are going to do is probably just make it more of a, just a friendly sort of banter rep tomorrow. It will just be us two. Anthony's actually going to be away. He's going to chaperone a school trip. So I think if you guys are cool with it and they're still okay that we just do a game versus no game, I think we're going to jump on camera. Jason's going to run his league list, and we already have that sort of set up, which will be fun. I'm going to probably run some sort of droid variant, and I think we're just going to unpack and play on this new stuff, just like basically like a live throw it on the table. We might even walk you guys through us setting up the table and unboxing just for a little bit of a different look tomorrow. So thumbs up in chat if you think that's okay. Let us know if you're going to tune in. Let us know if that'll work for you. It won't be our traditional Friday Night Fights, but we'll definitely get you a game. And I think some content is better than no content. So if you guys are okay with that, let us know. So Jace, let's get into a little bit. First, let's kind of highlight, I guess, the game that you played against Anthony here. We did play on that really sharp-looking Naboo terrain from Legion terrain. So as you guys know, we represent a whole bunch of companies here. It's fantastic. They all make great stuff. So we have no strong opinions one way or the other in terms of what is the best or anything like that. We like it all, and that's why we want to have these relationships with these groups. We want to highlight the stuff. You guys will ultimately decide what you like best, but I do encourage you to check out everyone who gets represented on our table is fantastic to both work with, and I think you'd be happy with all the items. So we did get that I love that sharp blue that they've done on those pieces.
The blue is amazing.
Yeah, it looks really, really poppy. And we've played this on both like sort of a cobblestone mat from Deep Cut Studios, as well as this sort of dark forest green. It looks great on both, and you can really complement it with a bunch of the Gale Force 9 stuff as we typically do. But so the game was fun to watch. I like watching people play the bus list because I really like the bus list itself. Anthony was was having a little bit of a tough go, but I mean, I think we've seen that before. This list gets on top of you, so I'm going to try Droids 2 and probably do equally terrible, but that is what it is. The game was fun nonetheless. That was episode 77 there. And then Jason and I thought what we do is instead of telling you how the game went, you can go watch it for sure. But let's get in and have a little look at the list. But I think we won't spend time on the red list here, Jace, just because that's probably not in our. It's not in our purview to talk the best about that one. That's Anthony's build. Let's talk about the red list because you and I can both talk about that. But just in the interest of full transparency, that is Anthony's list there. It has T-Series, Cad Bane, Bosk, double pikes, 4 B1s, and a Magna Guard. So nothing really out of the ordinary in terms of Anthony's wheelhouse for sure. It's just kind of how it responded to having everything on it so quickly. And Bosk really, I guess, I don't know spoilers, but he kind of underperformed on the shots that he would want to be putting out significant damage. That would have been a difference maker for sure if he was able to kind of roll his typical Bosk rolls. Slowing a boss down is critical to that, but without that happening, we kind of seen the results. So let's talk a little bit about the blue list here. So
you bet.
So Jace runs it a little bit differently than me, but we'll kind of break it down. We'll spend a lot of time on this because we got some other stuff to get to. But double AA5 speeder trucks. He's got raiding party leader Gonk, backworld medic, the quad, and link targeting around 1 for 144. The other one has the frenzy gunner, the unorthodox tactician, and then Gonk, link targeting array, and quad. So 1 for the aims and 1 for the basically the suppression demoralize trigger. 1 for the heals as well, and both are kind of max defense with the Gonk droid on there. Triple swoops running with the comms jammer, great choice against droids, but in fairness, he doesn't know who he's going to go against. This is the league list that was locked in before the round. Then
to be honest, it would have worked great in my last game. Actually, both games, it would have worked great.
If you remembered.
If I remembered to use it in either game.
Yeah, kind of why I moved away from the comms jammers on them. I was also forgetting that on the bikes, but I don't mind the transponders. That seems to be good in both Lizard Force as well as the bike. The situationally getting those bikes just defensed up. I was going to talk to you a little bit about something that I noticed that you did that I don't really do. And I'm just going to get kind of your thought on the choice. It's more of an action related, but doing all the donuts with the bikes, absolutely Striker. That is of course. It's a secret move. It's not even a keyword on there, but they do well. Now they do the hover in place. I can't move over this obstacle. No need for a donut. But in addition to the 2 naked pikes, there's also the wicked Black Suns. And I know people are always amazed when they roll like 10 plus hits. I'll tell you folks, with 2+ aims, that's what you should expect every single time. It just feels gross.
I should also point out in my second game against Dirty Rogue, I felt very bad, but I took a double aimed Black Sun, hit.
You knew Natty 12. I saw it.
Natty 12, yeah.
Yep.
Didn't even need, had 2 aims, didn't even need them. Natty 12.
I mean, you probably get there eventually, but it just feels bad. So you played Dirty Rogue, but were actually the dirty guy in that game.
Oh,
so
100%. 100%.
That's pretty awesome. So so that's the list. We won't tell you all about the game because I want you guys to watch it. But what are you finding about the list, Jace? Like, what's kind of been your strategy that you've developed here?
Well, first thing that I know I have for sure developed is that I definitely think I will be, once my list is no longer locked in, dropping the medic. I've used it a grand total of once, and while it was nice, and it did actually help me keep an activation on the table a bit longer, I think just another tactician with the ability to hand out more aims and have more freedom about when to go with each bus would be a little bit better.
Yeah. I think that's something that I was trying to double medic bus, and it didn't really work. It messes with the timing window because you want to go early with the buses for everything but the medics, and then you go late with the bus because of the medic, but because the timing window might be messed up on the Black Suns, you may or may not get an opportunity to heal back. And let's be honest, you're not bringing pikes back.
No, you're not. You're not wasting that on bringing pikes back.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're that close to your pikes, you're either playing a very weird mission or something's gone wrong in the game if your pikes have moved up from your backboard edge.
Right. Yep. So, and we kind of differ a little bit in our bus orgs, mostly because I was running the double tactician. You're running that. I don't run the link targeting array. Interesting. I do like that. Because it makes it a little less of a necessity to kind of dumpster that aim onto the quad that you may get off there. I think you might find, though, if you run the double unorthodox tactician, you might be able to free those 10 points up to do transponders on your bikes instead of the comm jammers. So
yeah, because how many points are transponders?
I think they're 4.
10? They're 4? Oh, well, then they're less than a comms jammer.
Yeah,
so
like
I gain
you
points
can straight drop
those,
get your points back. I don't know where you want to spend them.
Yeah.
They're like right now I have been theory crafting, or the one I was running was I was actually putting the Courage 2, I think it's the capo, into the pikes, so that everything in my army is Courage 2. Nothing's any less or more. And then everything's really independent of one another. Like nobody's relying on anybody else's. Obviously they can't anyway, but nobody's really relying on anyone else to just save them from a courage standpoint. It almost makes it like you have really 10 independent units in the list, which is kind of fun. 9 independent units in the list. So.
Yeah, I would like to do that, and that was something I was looking at just with the time crunch to get my list in.
Yep. Didn't
figure that out, but that's definitely a very good way to do it.
Yeah, another secret sort of tech in this list, not secret at all, but it's anti-bounty. It cannot be bountied.
Oh, yep. And I've played against bounty hunters every game so far.
Yeah, and I think with the proliferation of bounty hunters, it's actually nice sort of counter meta pick, which is super good. Not to mention the demoralize is always great here. I was going to mention too, or just ask you a question before we kind of move on, but you, in a couple spots, and maybe it was just situationally when I was watching, but you were kind of opting for some aim options on the bike, and I actually find that I'm almost never taking the aim action on the bike, only because I feel like the straight dice pool of the shot feels good. Like I know that the aim might help you with the black dice to push a shot over cover. But the 2 reds, if it's going to go away to cover, it's going to go away to cover. And I take the gamble on the black dice. But I'm oftentimes finding that re-rolling 2 black to get a 50-50 hit potential, slightly above, is really only ever doing 1 damage, where the dodge is always preventing me a hit back. I feel like that's been more value for me. And then in the overrun attack, if I'm using it again, more often than not, I'm kind of gambling on that, because if I miss on the whites, the reroll on the whites just feels like it's just a second gamble. But again, going back to the dodge being always valuable. So any thoughts on that, or were those just maybe situationally where you were taking the aim?
Yeah, I definitely take the dodge a lot more. There were a couple situations where I took the aim. There were a couple I took the aim when I actually realized after. I was like, oh, I probably should have taken a dodge here. It would have been a bit better.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure out the bikes. I'm trying to figure out the best damage output way for them, or the best way to utilize their effectiveness. Most of the lists I've played against have been kind of tough, just because there's a lot of things that I've played against in those 2 games that the bikes can't really do damage to at all. Like Aiden in heavy cover with a shield token and a quick thinking for already having a dodge, along with her aim for her shot. Bane with his insane amount of cover and stuff. I'm never getting anything through there.
I feel like these bikes, the more I kind of play them, the more I feel like they should be skirting the edges, kind of like in, shoot, out. Because really the range band you want to be at is 2, but you want to be at it with like very good cover or really angled out, because they're a bit unique, right? They're not Blizzard Force bikes. They don't have that range 3. They're susceptible to standbys. They can basically eat every dice pool that's out there. They can be reached by force users within the range band. So they really have to play a KG range 2 if you're going to leave them in there. Or you need to skirt into range 2, get your shots off, and then get back out. They definitely have the speed to do that.
Definitely,
but they're not as rammy as the Imperial speeder bikes for sure. And if you want to have that demoralized trigger, which often, because you're not getting that off overrun, just having that demoralized trigger is almost as valuable as putting that shot against the unit. If, like you said, they're really tanky and you're only generating suppression off that. So
Yeah, and that's what I kind of figured out is that I just use them for the demoralize, and honestly, I've ended up just using their shot more just to put that second suppression on that same unit.
right. Nope, that makes a lot of sense to me.
I do, however, like to chuck them in and not just skirt the edge for the sole reason of I like to chuck one or two in first, quickly with the double or triple dodge up in heavy cover, and then immediately after my opponent spent a couple shots on it because they're like, oh, it's in range, and I'll shoot my big dice pool and maybe plink a couple wounds or kill one of the two bikes in the unit. Then I roll up both buses right up behind it,
Boom, boom.
and they're not shooting at my buses, which is the big thing.
Yeah, you really have to, similar to even to Blizzard Force, what I'm realizing is you almost have to, the delay first to get everything to push in on the same turn is really critical here. So Sean in chat is asking, how do you feel Reckless fits into the list? So I think he's referring to the Reckless Driver.
I love Reckless Driver. It's so good.
The compulsory
amount of
can
time
sometimes be a little bit of a concern, though.
Oh, sorry, Reckless Driver. Sorry, I was thinking the Gunner. Oh, that's Frenzied Gunner. Never mind. My bad.
The Reckless Driver.
Yeah. Reckless Driver is tough because of the compulsory. I just don't like being forced to move. Especially in this last game, I moved my bus turn 1. I moved my buses turn 2. I did not move either bus for the rest of the game.
Yep.
They just sat there, handed out aims, took their own aims, and shot.
Right. Have you tried doing a compulsory yet in between your two regular actions? So, okay. So, Canadian Bear was mentioning this to me, and he was mentioning that how compulsory seems to be written currently in the rules reference guide, or the core rulebook, is that you can do the compulsory in between.
I haven't taken too deep of a look at compulsory, but now I want to and see what it.
Yeah, the answer is no, because I'm not 100% sure if that's intended. I don't know if anybody has written that in the rules form. I guess we could have probably looked that up and done that as part of our segment tonight, but the answer is no. Canadian Bear for sure. One of the thing, so I don't want to put that out there that is verification, but I was just explaining my conversation with Graham that that's what he has sort of gleamed from that. So have a look at it yourself and let us know what you guys think about it in chat.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up right
just
now.
back to Sean's point about the question. One of the things that I think is lost a little bit with the Reckless is and I believe I'm remembering this correctly, is that you don't have the ability to reverse with that bus. And the ability to kind of go forward and back or get sort of different shots, I think and the maneuverability of the bus is fantastic.
It doesn't let you do that compulsory. However, the bus one might, just the bus one though, because the whole reason it has to be starter end is the speeder X keyword says at the starter end, and the bus doesn't get the speeder X keyword.
Maybe.
So it's all just based on what that card says.
Well, sounds like that's probably a question for the rules forum, as we
definitely
led to believe for many things. So to be continued. Maybe we'll make that a follow up point for next week. We'll ask that and get back on that. So, but I believe the compulsory is still start and end. But as Jace is pointing out, maybe that's not applicable to the bus, or maybe that just needs to be clarified to ensure it doesn't include that.
The other thing, too, is Reckless Driver specifically says when you activate, perform a compulsory move.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you get the option for that at the end at all. So it wouldn't definitely fall in the middle. So, so maybe that just takes care of it right there. So I do think it's like we've kind of opened this whole new world where I don't want to like jump to assumptions about that's how things work, because that's how they always have, because we've clearly seen along the way this, as we've evolved into this new set of rules here, we are in week 3 now, that everything is not necessarily as it was before. So good opportunity to ask good
Yep.
questions and learn new things in Legion. So whenever,
Yeah,
whenever
always got to double check everything. Always
yeah,
got
I
to
even
double check.
seen lots of things on stream. Even at LVO, right, as we would anticipate, they only had like 9 days to digest it. But definitely seeing some people do some things that I believe were not correct. And even one judge ruling was on there, so it's then like clarified minutes later that no, that in fact wasn't. And I was kind of picking up on that in the chat, and I was suggesting that it might have not been correct. So. But that doesn't mean I'm a rules expert. That just means we all digest and get little bits and pieces. It's how we kind of disseminate that to the people who are playing. Instead of gotcha moments, it's hey, did you know? And I think learning along the way is part of the process. So, yeah, which is fantastic. I even saw like Kyle at the end of one of his games. It was I think in the top 4 match. Was then explaining the difference between obstacle and impassable terrain to his opponent, like afterward, just for a clarification moving forward. The game was over; it was irrelevant at that point. But the knowledge that you take at the end of that, moving forward, and if it's correct knowledge, is only going to help your future games. So that's good to have lots of those conversations. So and terrain conversations definitely when we get to the LVO point, want to point out that is vastly important. So go check that out. Game 77, Jace Anthony. And then come check us out tomorrow night. We will be playing Jason and I both. So, all right, on to the news segment so we can get on with the show here. I just want to report that Pally is been marked safe. In fact, he's been marked at work, just so you guys know. So, hey, it's 49 days by my count between now, counting today, I think, and the day that I have to leave for Worlds. So I'm going to give you guys, as we go through, I'll give you my own countdown.
And the day that I wish I was leaving for Worlds.
I am not prepared at all. In fact, here's my current to-do list. Pick a faction. Haven't done that. Make a list. Certainly haven't done that. Paint and base the list. Let's be honest. Somebody will paint the models that I then decide, so I need to probably get on that. I might even have some stuff painted. Who knows? I'm going to practice with that list. I'm going to waffle. You can probably insert waffle several times in here, but waffle hard. Pack list, probably unpack because I've waffled. And then I'm going to leave for Adepticon. So, Striker, unprepared. I'm going to watch. Well, then you, sir, are well ahead of the game. I am not. But I do have 49 days to get there. And if I did less Legion podcasting, Legion-related content, Patreon-related content, or perks, I would have more time. So you guys are partially to blame for my ill-preparedness for Worlds. So, Jace, Anthony, and I will put our heads together and we will come up with some list that I will play for Worlds, and then they will help me practice and learn said list. So that is where we're at. Yeah, I feel bad for Big Jace and Frank who are painting, because like I feel like I'm going to be like, oh yeah, never mind, I don't need that. Can you actually paint this now? I think I'm going to do that a few times. So. Sean, who's in chat, is in the last chance qualifier, so you will see me there. I will not be in the last chance qualifier, but make sure that you say hello or avoid me. You know what I look like, so you have the option now to both avoid and or confront directly, which is the distinct advantage of me not seeing everyone. But yep. By the way, despite what anyone says, I am not a hugger. So we'll fist pump, shake hands. All acceptable. Not the hugging. Do like hot dogs though. Boiled hot dogs, by the way. So yeah, this is me. Pick a list and practice it. Get going with that. Waffle hard, and then move on. Next week, maybe I'll have a couple of those done. Unlikely, but I will keep you guys up to date on my road to the world. So. All right, let's have a look, Jace, and break down some AMG Twitter feed stuff. So new format in Legion, and I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole or a diatribe about any of this because I know not nearly enough.
And I know very little.
Other than the fact that, and I don't think I'm alone in this, that this sort of came out of nowhere. No, it came out of nowhere from my world, clearly, as it's pointed out here. Will and Will Schick and Will Pagani, the Wills, were definitely and have been putting some brain power into this. It didn't just happen. Nick Smith with the extra hugs. Nick didn't get it. Nick's I'll have to restate in roundtables, so Nick gets it. Just kidding. So they clearly have put some thought into this. But not only that, though, but they're actually soliciting the brain power of the community, which is kind of cool. Putting their new format, Legion Special Operations, into an open beta. So if you want to get involved in that, I think there's 2 windows to contribute to it via a forum, and you guys can certainly lend your collective wisdom to help improving this format of Legion. So we'll get into breaking down this format a little bit more. Here's just a smattering of things like I've mentioned. They got a open beta feedback forum here. You can participate in the open beta in 2 rounds of playtesting. They're going to take the feedback in the month of February and then close that during March, and then reopen the beta in April for a second round of feedback. It's a little tight for me to get in doing any of this stuff. I'm not opposed to format, because the way I looked at it, it very much looked like a skirmish. A lot of people talking about Kill Team. I will be honest, I don't have any reference to that, so that Kill Team reference means nothing to me. But when looking at it, looking at the size of the table, to me it's a skirmish type atmosphere. I do like skirmish for sure, but one of the things, and I think I'm accurate in this, I was talking to Jace beforehand, I think you're like just playing single models with like new stat lines. And to me, I like this game because I can play with squads. And so so I like the models. Even though Skirmish is a smaller format point-wise, I still feel like it's Legion for me. It's kind of just like, it's like half-size Legion. It's digestible, short-time Legion, but it's not drastically different. Yes, it's not balanced. Yes, the missions are a little skewy. Yes, you can take skew list or whatever. Doesn't matter. It's a great way to just test out units in a smaller format, and you know that you're going to engage a bit quicker. I don't know how required this is, and I don't know what parallels this has with other games. Like I said, a lot of people drawing conclusions that it's basically Kill Team for Legion. I can't do that. But I do know that there is some new keywords. There is some new command cards. And so we oftentimes are looking for new ways to play old units, and this might just be that. So if it scratches that itch for you, it's probably great. If it's a more fast-paced skirmish, then it probably will work for me too. Just at first, I was caught a little bit off guard as to this is like single models. And yes, a few people are mentioning one of the, I'll just say, stranger elements is the fact that we are going to introduce a new way to measure. Not a new way, but a new way to measure Legion games, and that is using a tape measure in inches. I've already called for it. I don't want Jace dangling tape measures above the trees. He already has enough, appendages to clear trees off tables. We don't need to extend his appendages now longer.
Give me more.
It's just catastrophic on all accounts. But a lot of people kind of just saying, if you're going to do that, fine. This might, and I've heard, I'll just give you kind of the renditions of what I've heard. Like, this is the equivalent of what we missed in getting Shatterpoint. Here's some rules, and here's a way to use your models. If it's a way to use Legion models to play more Legion in different formats, it's a plus, a net plus. Is it a little strange you're using a new measuring device when you already have one that's clearly linked to Legion? Maybe. But if you've played a lot of games, the use of a tape measure isn't that much of a foreign concept to you, and it's pretty intuitive that it just uses numerical values. We have heard people talk about in Legion before about messing around with range bands and having different range bands. Well, this is maybe just a testing format for that. And if you really have strong opinions one way or the other about any elements in this, they've given you the platform to go and provide that information. So no one can really be complaining too much if you have a strong opinion and you don't feel that AMG's listening to you. They've set that all up. So I think a net plus in terms of how this has been rolled out. I wasn't expecting it. That's fine. I don't have to expect something. I can be open. I can be happily surprised. I don't know if I'm going to love it. Don't have an opinion on that yet. It's clearly in beta. It's just a Word document. It's got, obviously some wordsmithing and some formatting that's probably going to change. The cards don't have pictures, so I saw somebody asking about that. That is very typical of many games when you roll out the document. Obviously, the rules don't have pictures in them either. The artwork will probably come later, but maybe they're not settled out on every element of the card. Therefore, and we've heard in, I listened on the Inglorious Blasters podcast when they talked about all the art and the work that goes into that. A lot of that is flavored by card text, the idea of what the card's supposed to insinuate, et cetera, et cetera. So it makes sense that maybe that comes a little bit later. So I think this all makes sense in terms of what we have right now. It's definitely not a polished or finished product, so you can't be too upset if you don't like one element of it. You got the platform to do that. Restating the obvious. Jace, maybe what we could do to do our part, whether we participate in the beta or not, maybe we could just give this a rip. We got a couple great skirmish tables that would be maybe fun to test this out on. So
definitely,
maybe we'll give that a try. If you guys want to see us at least even attempt to run one game, let us know in chat. You guys give us the thumbs up, and we could maybe try that in the not too distant future. So, yeah. My concern, I'm just going back to chat here. I'm sure if I missed anything here. So FNS here for Star Wars Kill Team, uses inches not to find rulers. I got that. Striker thinks it looks fun. My concern would be, this is Call Me Captain. My concern would be if they're using it as a gateway to Shatterpoint, that's me seeing the worst. Like, I mean, even if they are, it's still a format that you can use with Legion models. So if it's a halfway balance between, hey, you can't use your models in Shatterpoint, or that's not intended to, and here's some mechanics from that game, which we don't obviously know either, then I guess that's what some people were asking for. So in a way, I think they responded to some requests. So it wasn't what I was asking for, but I wasn't really asking for another format.
Yeah.
But so if you were, maybe you got what you're looking for. So Jake says he likes the concept, something I want to try at some point. Yeah, and I think that's what it will be. We've seen some other, groups do some alt forms of Legion. We've seen some homebrew stuff. Like, people have been doing this for a while and probably will in the future. This just might be one more thing you can add to your repertoire. Pick and choose what you like and roll with it. So, and we'll see how it plays out, says Sean. I don't disagree with that at all. Okay, this is one thing I wanted to pick up from the Twitter that I saw. This is not Legion related, in fact, and we are not not a Marvel Crisis Protocol Legion Crisis Protocol. Wow, Freudian slip there. Not a Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast, but what I saw here is they said we're just a few short months away from Adepticon, and we want to answer all your burning questions about the Marvel Crisis Pro painting competition and the path of the worthy. What I wanted to pick up on this is, I think it's really cool that they're going to do some sort of Q&A, and I would love them to do this for all the games. Wouldn't it be so cool to have an AMG panel, like similar to, and I'm not sure how they plan to roll this out for format, but we've done the Gen Con thing where FFG used to do the in-flight report, where they come and showcase and give you the previews, and they would answer questions from the audience. So that would be really cool if they were going to do this for multiple formats, specifically Legion in my mind. But hey, if you're going to roll out Shatterpoint at it, why not do it for Shatterpoint? Because you'll probably have a host of questions as well. So, yep. See, Sean, join us back. We'll probably be here for a little bit. So, so I just wanted to bring this up, that I think it's cool that they're doing this. I didn't see a Q&A released for any other games, but maybe that's coming. This is obviously just from the 26th of January, so maybe that is in the works. But I wanted to give my plug for, I would think this would be great and good for community reach out for sure. So, okay, a few things left before we get before we get down to the end of it. We might not have a terribly long show tonight. We'll keep it to a reasonable time, but I wanted to talk a little bit, Jace, about LVO. I went and grabbed this information here from the game Uplink software. Hopefully that went good, and it's kind of its first major, I think, that they used it at, although I see a host of events in game Uplink, so people seem to be gravitating towards that. I think any tournament software is going to be widely appreciated by all the TOs out there for any game, really, but especially if it's easy to use. So I can't speak to the use of it or the ease of navigating it, but it was easy for me to find the information, so that is where it's at. So Ryan's going to go off with his conspiracy theories, and I'm going to talk about the top 8 here. So here's the top 8. Lots of names that we're kind of familiar with here. Jace, you played Izzy before, I believe, at...
I have.
Yeah, you
Top
played
4
him
at
in
Gen Con.
Yeah, Gen Con. Yeah, Michael Hollingsworth. I think that's Screw Tape. To be honest, I don't know Austin
Yeah.
Miller, so my apologies there.
Yeah, me
J.R.
neither.
Dieter's been doing well at many majors.
Lots
I
of
don't know
events.
him, but I do know the name for sure. We know Timbo for sure. Just lives next door to us in Manitoba. Has actually been in the studio here and has played against us before, so we know Tim. And Evan Paul, we don't know, but we know of. Mike Barry Dashes, I believe, may be making an appearance next week with us. So if you are interested in Gar and Gar questions, maybe next week will be fun. And then Kyle, of course, who we know from Notorious Scoundrels, and he's been doing super well with Blizzard Force, but really does well with most lists that he runs. So yeah, and then the factions represented here, we obviously have one Shadow Collective on there, one CIS, I'll count them up, 1, 2, 3, 4 Empire, and 2 Gar. Most notably, Jace, we are missing the Rebels, of which, though, Ryan Soloski, I know Ryan and I've played. We know Ryan from Stabcast. We've gone out to eat several times when at events. Was the top Rebel, if I remember correctly. Hey GD, how's it going? JD also at LVO, so maybe we'll get some insights from how the event went from his perspective. But yeah, so top 8, maybe surprising that it didn't represent all the factions, but maybe not surprising that it was overwhelmingly represented by Empire. And that's kind of how that played out. If you're looking at the records, by the way, that wasn't the full tournament record. It was kind of reset through each round. 13th place for Ryan. Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Jake, for that. So 13th was the top Rebel finisher. So it kind of reset. I believe 2-1s, maybe not all the 2-1s, but I think 3-0s and 2-1s moved on from day 1, and then they, I believe, advanced only 3-0s from day 2. Then they had the top 8, and then obviously you went there, kind of win and move on, lose, and you were kind of finished there. So that's why we have some 0-1s here. So, and then 1-1s were obviously the top 4 non-winners, and then Mike and Kyle played, obviously having one eventual 3-0 there. So I had the pleasure of watching every single game, and again, thanks to David for broadcasting that. Looked like it went well. The numbers were great, which is fantastic. And I would guess that when we have a major and people are wanting to follow, that will be probably the expectation, is that the numbers should be great for anyone casting at those events. So and I imagine as the players trickled off, if they weren't in the hall, they were probably still checking out the stream. So. Chat was active, which was super, super great. Casters did a great job. You could see most of the things. I will always give constructive criticism because we also cast and will accept it as well. The dice were really hard to see. And I know that David talked about maybe having some evolution in terms of that production value, but I think it was more the glare, and I think he was dealing with quite a bit of overhead lights, so that probably wasn't helping him, and probably something he couldn't really rectify, but they were just a little bit difficult to see, and that was just mine. Jace is building half trolls. I know that because I asked specifically before, so chat wants to know, Jace, what's Jace working on?
Yep. Built some half trolls.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's it.
And
we
now
evolved into a strategy battle games podcast as well. So,
and now we're building some Thorns company.
Okay, there we go. Some Oaken Shields. So like I said, the coverage was great. Got to see. Let's see. I watched John Griffin's game. Oh, we got to see everything. I think I'm just trying to look in terms of if I can remember here. So, JR was definitely on stream. Timbo was on stream. Mike was on stream. Kyle was on stream. Then we watched Ryan on stream, who we already mentioned. John Griffin, who was like way OG Legion Academy. He was on stream. And then I can't remember all the folks, but I do remember all the games. They were fun to watch. I like that they changed the table each round as well. And of course, if you didn't know, we had the 6-act list on there with the pull the strings Vader Palp Gav tank. So good to see a Gav on the table doing things, and probably flavors a little bit on the rules forum question tonight that Jace is going to pull out and get you the answer to, kind of themed off that. So well done to everyone that was on there. I want to talk a little bit about the the terrain conversations. We didn't always get to hear all the preamble, but I would say that on almost every table, at least a caster's mentioned, or there was a judge call, or you could see the players were in some sort of conversation about the terrain. And in almost every case, there was probably something that was maybe missed in the game. It seemed like something was missed in the pregame. But that being said, even in the games that I've had lately, I've felt like the conversations have been more robust, and we still miss something. So like J Rod and I talked pretty extensively about like every piece, every element, all the aspects of it, and then there was one piece that we didn't kind of mention, and there was like one piece of terrain that we were kind of using the TTS labels, but the labels were different on two pieces of terrain that were seemingly the same. So that's kind of an artifact of TTS. So I still would encourage you, because you don't have those those hotkeys and sort of tool tips on a real table. Spend some time and break it down. Have a conversation about the terrain. Do yourself a favor. Remember that impassable is actually impassable now. So you want to be clear if it's obstacle. You want to talk about if it's area, if it's open. If you want to have some sort of conversation around vehicles, really seem to present some sort of difficulty with establishing line of sight. And I don't think that was the players having difficulty. I think it was just clarity of the rules in terms of how that applies. And remember, it and can actually vary in terms of what's covered at the time you're taking the shot. So that seems to be a little bit of something that we're all going to have to get used to. So overall, very clean. I thought the games looked good. It didn't seem like there was a lot of super contentious points or real tough judge calls, at least on the stream tables. Maybe boots on the ground would indicate otherwise, but I would say that none, at the very least, I think the judges were busy. I did have an opportunity to chat with a few people that were there. I asked Endless, day one, I said, how are the judges doing? And he said, they're moving and they're almost never sitting. So I think that's to be expected, and I don't expect that to be super clarified or cleared up by Worlds, because as soon as we start introducing more players and bringing players together that may not have interactions before from certainly all over, we're probably going to have a little bit of that clarity that needs to be provided for sure. So Justice, you didn't miss much other than I called you out for being a Dodger for sure. In the group. So other than that, that's it. Ryan misspeaking again. We are not doing Shatterpoint. So, but good job by all the folks there. Vegas looked like I was also supposed to be there, but like I said, I made the decision not to go based on the fact that I wanted to see how everything was going to play out. I probably would have just as great time being there, but I thoroughly enjoyed watching it, which was nice, and not having to travel at that point in my school year was also probably making my week now a little less pressure filled, but it's already pressure filled, but a little less, I should say. So yeah, that's LVO in a nutshell. You guys can go check that out. I think the VODs are up on Twitch, so go check that out. You have a base. Getting all the plugs out there. Jace, before we get into the roundtable on this episode, because we'll have some time, I think we deserve to have a roundtable because we've shortchanged people a few times. Remember, if you participate tonight, if you haven't got yourself a Friday Night Fight sticker, we will send you one in the mail. But let's go and talk a little bit about some rules. Jace is going to walk us through some because you asked sections here. So Jace, take it away.
You bet. So the first rule we were looking at is we're going to look at the fun disembark rule that most of you probably saw happening during LVO, and that is disembark with pull the strings. As you can see, it was actually posted by Dave before when he was prepping for this tournament.
Yep.
But for those of you who did not get to watch the streams and did not see the hundreds upon hundreds of memes of the 6-act Commander Vader, Palp, Gav Tank list, a fun new thing you can do with the rules is disembark lets you disembark with any move action. Anytime you would spend a normal move action, you can use it to disembark. So a Gav tank can move twice with Vader in it, and Palp can just run up behind it and pull the strings on Vader to do a move action, and Vader can use that to disembark because it's just a move action. Then when Vader activates that same turn, since he's no longer in the Gav, he gets all of his actions, even though the Gav moved twice, and he can just move in and wreck face. If you want a great example of this, go watch Endless's first streamed game where he had this list on the table, and the opponent infiltrated Aiden and Inferno Squad on a center KP, and immediately had the Gav tank double move, second activation, pull the strings, third activation, Vader comes in, swings, kills Iden turn 1, pulls in the ISF, next turn plays Implacable, kills 2 more units, and game's pretty much over.
That happens. I like how
Yep.
Dave was actually, and I'm making this completely up because I have no verifiable facts, but I love how he asks on the 23rd of January. But interestingly enough, he just asked about snows. So it's a little bit
Yep.
like, I'm not doing this with snows at all. I'm going to wreck face with Vader, but I'll ask about snows so that no one will know. We all know now. The world knows what I think is fantastic. That he did extremely well with the 6-act list.
Yes,
but as
very
the
close to making it into the finals, too.
At this point, we're in legend category because the stories are they're like fish tales. They sort of like come out, but it seems to me, you know, what I've gleaned from the internet, that this wasn't like he just threw this together and this was time one. I guess he has been running some evolutions or varieties of this for a while. I think I don't think that 6-act list should be what you run out and highly recommend to the new player. But I jokingly said that 5-act lists are going to be the new meta to counter the 6-act meta, so that you can still use the pass mechanics. So, while I also don't
and he
think
used
that's
it,
gonna,
he did use it.
well, of course you would. You know, what better way to take advantage of that? So, especially when you can kill 2 activations, 3 activations very quickly, and now suddenly you're tied up and potentially have the use of the pass mechanic on that particular turn, because we know that those tokens remain in there. So, fantastic, well done to him. I'm not sure where he finished out, but the fact that he did very well and made it through day 1, and I think he finished up at 2-1 maybe on day 2. That's a
2-1. He
good
overall
record.
5-1.
5-1.
5-1.
Yeah,
5-1 through the first 2 days. Just missed out on the finals.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, Jace, you have another one for us.
I do.
Nick, I do not. I was not talking about getting hugs at Worlds, but thanks for bringing that up.
Sean loves hugs at Worlds.
Love them.
But yeah, so we're also going to talk about Disembark with this other one, which is going to be Disembark and Dauntless.
Right.
So as we mentioned, yeah, exactly. So as we mentioned previously, Disembark is just anything that lets you do a move action, which means if you're in an open transport, such as a Gav tank, and you get suppressed, you can Dauntless yourself out of a tank.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. You can... So anything that gives you a move action, any command card that lets you perform a move action, not a speed 1 move, has to be a move action. But Dauntless works. Compel also works to get you out of a tank now as well, because that lets you do a move action. So yeah.
That seems
there is a
so good.
lot of ways to get around that transport rule now.
Yes. Call me Captain pointing out the compel, the corresponding compel keyword working there as well. JD clarifying should say providing us with that. Dave's only loss was to Kyle, so the eventual winner, so that you're going to have you're going to still be able to take a feather in your cap too if you can go away. You know, my only loss was the person who also beat several other people, so along the way. And I believe that game was pretty tight. I was a little or what, did we get to see that one on stream? We did not get to see that one on stream, but that would have been a great one to see. No, that was JR that Kyle played on there. So but very interesting. I almost want to kind of give this list a try, even though I'm not really a Palp user. I think it would be fun just to go with the mechanics of that and just kind of see how it looks on the table. I will not run it tomorrow night, but I'm just saying it would be cool to kind of see how that works. So JD pointing out that game was particularly close. So, okay, well that is the Because You Asked segment. So if you guys have things that you have asked and want us to hey, I got a ruling on this, let us know kind of when we can get that stuff up on screen. Because we'll gladly share whatever information you've found out via the rules forum. So again, we just highlighting. You just go to the top, you punch in that keyword. So if I wanted to use compel, and then just go search the corresponding rules. Oh, that's not why that did not work. I'm just gonna see if I can short form any of these. No, that doesn't work either. My bad. I thought it would just short form. Well, you can just use Disembark like we did tonight, and that will bring up that there. So I guess you can't use short forms on that. I thought it would auto-generate, but yeah, Disembark, that's what we punched in tonight for the keyword search. and then we're just able to find that. So there's a whole host of those. And remember, the keyword within the rules reference will also then allow you to click on the keyword. So Dauntless and Disembark, you can see those two keywords proc there. So if I want to click on, let's say, Dauntless, I can then use Dauntless to then go find other rulings that will have that in there. And I can go down the further rabbit hole of Suppression, Panic, Compel, etc. So if I click on Compel, I'll do it this way. And then you'll have a few rulings there. And again, it might cycle you back to some of the similar rulings, but again, those familiar keywords are why you have that option on there. So jump 2, height 3. There we go. Jace has got a guest with him as well.
Yeah. Someone's trying to eat my shoes again.
Yeah, that's what dogs do. So.
Yep.
All right. So we'll go into Roundtable and see what you guys have to say about all things Legion here. So here we go. All right, so we will lay the rules down for Roundtable, and I will drop the link in. We will reserve the right to cycle people through. We're at about 1:10, so we'll go to about 20 minutes of this, and we'll wrap up at the 1:30 mark. So discussion topics tonight, and you got to come in and you got to use the key prompts. That's why we write them. You can write Legion needs, and that goes, with whatever fits that topic. So you can talk about all things related. I love, I hate. So we want you to come in and give us something. And I know that hate's a strong word, and but you know what I mean. Something that you like, something that you don't like. I could write like, dislike, I guess there, but I chose not to. And then the next one is okay. It's okay. So really, this one is about your sort of self-admission that maybe there was an overreact to something and you realized, you know what, it's actually okay, and you can explain to us why. And then just a shocker, what are you shocked by? Were you shocked by something at LVO, the results? Are you shocked by the release of the new rule set? Shocked by any announcements? Shocked how good something is? Shocked how bad something is? Maybe you've been underwhelmed by something, or maybe pleasantly surprised. So that is your topics tonight. We'll drop in the link. Feel free to give us a ring. Headphones are great if you're a first-time caller. They really cut down on the echo, and we'll be encouraged to hear what you guys have to say. Link is in the chat. Don't leave us hanging. We're going to hang out for 20 minutes. Chat. Jace will sing if it gets too awkward. So,
Oh yeah, you don't want to hear that.
I mean, I don't, but yeah, maybe the people do. Maybe we'll start taking requests. Who knows? I will say that I have been a little underwhelmed. I was a little underwhelmed by Op Vader my first couple times through with Blizzard. I think I just had some bad dice results with them, so I switched over to Commander Vader. I've been pleasantly surprised with Commander Vader playing.
I love Commander Vader. I've always liked him better.
Great results from Op Vader in Blizzard Force as well. So I'm just torn on both of those. So Call Me Captain said he can't, but he's interested to hear your thoughts on Blizzard Force at Worlds. Okay, well I started down this pathway, so we'll wait for any callers if we have some tonight. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like we probably won't get a change to Blizzard Force before Worlds, personally.
I doubt it.
And I'm indifferent about it. Like, I've kind of just, I've been playing it. I've played against it. At this point, I think it's pretty much a known quantity. Like, it's not surprising you with what it does. It just does what it does well. Can you have some counterplay around it? Sure, I think you can. Dice are still going to be dice at the end of the day. I think if it stays as a fixed point, I think we got about 49 days to start thinking about really strong counterplay to it. I think we clearly have seen people have victories against it. Like, we didn't see 8 Blizzard Forces in the top, but we have we've definitely seen people doing well with it. That I think will remain. We've got Ryan calling in here. He's going to come tell us all the things. But yeah, my thoughts are I don't think it's going to change before Worlds, and I'm I guess just fine with that. Whether I choose to play it or not, that remains to be seen. But but I think we should anticipate seeing it played in some form by many players, and that shouldn't come as any surprise. That will not be a shocker for sure. So,
No, definitely not.
yeah. Go ahead, Ryan. What do you got?
Awesome. Well, huge shock here. AMG again has no idea what they're doing. Like,
Enlighten us.
you release this. Okay, first of all, you release this new skirmish style game that you're pumping up, and you put pre-orders out before you tell people how to play the game. But you release an article on how you developed the game. Okay, so there's one. Marketing 101. You want people to buy your product. Tell them what your product is and how it works. 2, organized play kits were designed for skirmish back when skirmish was a thing. But they killed that 2 weeks ago. So now we have new skirmish that they haven't even bothered to test yet and are basically using the community as, hey, do you guys like 40K? Because we're leaning towards 40K style here. How's about you guys use half the tools, about 10% of the models. Oh, and we'll force you to use a tape measure. Like, it sounds 100% like 40K.
See,
So
I can't speak to the reference. I won't doubt that you can draw parallels if that's the case.
Oh, like, you can 100% draw parallel. I mean, same with Warcry as well. Like, because Kill Team and Warcry are Age of Sigmar and 40K skirmish. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. I got a huge feeling that they're gonna take this feedback, even if 30% of the community is like, man, this is good. They're gonna take it, and about in April or May, they're gonna be like, all right, guys, new rules, new style play. We're using tape measures for everything, except with the movement tools. See, so new players, guess what? You can spend $30 on the essentials kit, and then go out and buy a tape measure for $10.
I was just reading Call Me Captain's comment here, so I don't think he's not really calling you a crackhead, but
okay, he's on to me there. I mean,
yeah, I'll tell
something's got to get me
this.
through the day.
I'll tell you this. I understand that the shocker is not. I'm not going to be shocked by what Ryan says, but I don't pick the middle of the road because I try to be a fence sitter. I just pick the middle of the road because that's generally how I approach most things, fairly cautiously. Never, I'm in my work. I can never overreact or really underreact to anything. So it's kind of a pre-program for me, and I do appreciate when Ryan comes on and gives his strong opinions about that, because I don't tether people, so I'm not anyone's handler. But I will say this: I don't think that Ryan is saying anything that I haven't read, on the interwebs. Lots of people definitely in that camp. Lots of people making comparisons, and you can make a comparison for both the positives or the negatives of that. Why make this if it already exists? Or I love that you're making this because I already like this. I get all of that. Couple questions. Justice, wondering why Ryan's even talking about Legion, doesn't play it anymore. Is it so? I'm gonna switch this into a quick interview. Mm-hmm. Ryan, are you officially no longer a Legion player?
I am. I decided back when the rules changed, so January 16th.
Yep.
Gave them a look through as I'm doing professional development. So did that, read through them, read through the Discord of the one Discord channel I'm not blocked yet.
Jace,
the comments
you want to take care of that, Jace?
Yeah, Jace, I'm giving you the opportunity right now. So read through people's comments, and then I just couldn't after a while. Like, I played in a tournament that same week. And I mean, Justice could, with the new rules, and Justice was there and like had a great time. It was a great way because I was hanging out with a lot of buddies. But half the people there like what is going on? Like, I could use some colorful language, but everyone was so confused about, wait, how does this work? What does that do? And we knew, and the judge we were friends with were like, dude, we wouldn't trade for your position at all. Like, the rules were janky as hell. Like, you brought up pulling the strings with, on a transport. Like, it's basically like AMG just, it felt like they took the rules for a game and overhauled the rules. And I'm going to say this again. They overhauled the rules.
Right.
For it, like, and I get a lot of slack for this, and I know I'm going to see it coming in the chat.
Yep.
I like GW.
Before Ryan goes, in
yeah,
fairness,
yeah.
Sorry, I just want to say, in fairness, just in case people are wondering, what does Ryan get to come on and soapbox here? I give Ryan as much grief on here as I do off air as well. So Ryan doesn't get a skate with me at all. We got into like a 2-hour conversation about terrain. But I also don't tether anyone when they come out, as long as you are not openly derogatory. That's obviously for sure, which Ryan's not being. I'm just saying. So yeah, you can give him heck in chat. That's anticipated. If you're going to come on and share an opinion, you have to be open to it. So continue. Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
No, all good. And then you go ahead and throw up Justice's comment, because again, like, felt bad. But when everybody sees this, so the 2 kids that I beat, they were not 12 and 10. They ended up with all my range rulers and my dice, and then all of my setup stuff. So, for those of you who think I don't have a heart, I kind of do. Just, paying it forward, get these younger guys in, because they're sharing everything. So anyway, I get a lot of slack, and I'm just going to say it. I like GW, because personally, I feel like they're involved in their game, and they're watching it. And balance to them is very important. A lot of people say they don't understand it, but it's kind of hard to when you have at least 20 armies that you have to balance. So it gets a little crazy. But the fact that AMG has 4 armies, and apparently, depending on who you talk to, if you talk to Justice, he's going to say it's unbalanced. So it's that, like, as a consumer and a shareholder, I can say former shareholder of Legion, I did not like the way the game is going in a certain direction. So as a shareholder, I'm basically selling my stock and going with other companies I feel like are taking care of their game. Like, I'm now playing Conquest. I'm having a great time playing. Like, people look at it like, oh, it's a rank and file game. Like, I'm having a great time playing this rank and file game, to where Parabellum, the game company, gets the community involved, lets the community decide, hey, what new armies do you want to come up with? And you vote for an entire, like, month on what the community wants to see. But they make small tweaks, very small tweaks, just for balance, to where it felt like AMG basically shat all over what Alex created, because they didn't understand it. And then we have individuals saying I have nothing to do with it, I'm a contractor. But when you actually listen to what they're saying, they're using a lot of personal pronouns of, I did this, I did not mean to do it this way. So it's like, I just don't feel comfortable with it. And again, like, yeah, I've been anti-AMG, but again, like, at the end of the day, we're all shareholders and should have a say in where we're putting our money.
Okay, let's give JD a boots on the ground report from LVO, but he might have some counterpoints. He just played in a big tournament and would have had firsthand experience about just how players were handling those rules. So JD, what's going on?
How's it going?
Hey, it's going well. Hey,
Good.
I just want to point this out, and you can verify. Is Justice ducking you as bad as he's ducking me right now in our pod?
I don't know. I poked my head in there like 3 times because
I've
I've been
confirmed.
traveling. So the answer is
100%
yes. I have not
confirmed.
had any communication from Justice.
All I heard is Justice is not communicating to you. So yeah, it's confirmed. Yeah. All right, well, go ahead.
So-
Tell us how LVO went.
LVO's great. I think there definitely are a few issues that need to be ironed out, but I think overall all the players that were there had a great time. I think that most people like were pleasantly surprised how the game actually played when you went and played like 6 to 8 games over a weekend. I still think I think for me personally, I think the vehicle line of sights are still a little bit wonky. Like, I think it would be better if it was true line of sight from vehicles, because it kind of got weird shooting at bikes that was an imaginary silhouette over part of the model you couldn't see to
Right.
another silhouette, So, like, there's some of that stuff, and I think that I, for me personally, I think that could bear some fine tuning. But I think for the most part, I think the rules did what they wanted them to do. I think the pass mechanic was great. I think that honestly, some of the changes that they made to the way that high velocity and deflect and some of those things work really opened up certain factions like Gar that have had some problems in the past. So Gar lost some things, but I think Gar gained some things, and it was great to see two Gar players in the top 8.
Yep.
I think Rebels are having the hardest time right now. I think that they probably got the most just negatives without any real buffs to anything that they were doing between the dodge spam and like what was good for them was Luke got worse with some of the deflect stuff, and
Right.
the dodge spam is all more expensive. So I think Rebels are probably going to have a hard time finding their place like in the current world for a few months. But I was able to get plenty of open shots. Like I would, whether that's because you're running up and touching a piece of terrain or that you can now ignore, or with bikes coming in on like flanks and stuff like that. So, I think overall, like 90 and 95% of the players that were there, like really had a lot more positive that their opinion of the game improved after they went and played 6 to 8 games over a weekend. So.
Right. That's honestly that's been my sort of experience too. Like I think we're probably going to find most are going to fall into the category of I don't love everything, but the things that I do like are, and I think that that's kind of where I'm at. Pass mechanic works fine. Figuring out cover, while I maybe don't love that everything is seemingly cover 2 now, I think that I'm also at the point where it's just like, okay, I understand this is going to be cover 2. Like and I thought might be more arguments around cover.
What are you doing?
But I think there actually is. It's becoming very clear and obvious that that if you are intentional, I'm going to move my base behind this. So basically, any shot coming at this guy's going to clip this piece of terrain. Like I think you can be intentional in your wanting of cover, which may help clear that up. If you just kind of put your models down and then a person thinks it's an open shot, and then you have to have that conversation, that discussion around that, that's where it could get a little bit slow. But I think, again, if you go back to playing intentional Legion and just playing with articulated intentions to your opponent, I think that will clear up. I do agree, though, the vehicle thing, it's just, you're just not sure. And I think saw a lot of people and heard a lot of people, and I've done this as well, both asking and playing against vehicles, is I'm just like, is this going to give me cover? And you're kind of having that conversation with your opponent. And I think that eliminates that weird awkward step where it's like you attempt to make the attack and then it's like you figure out if you can or can't. It's like, I think if you have those pre-conversations before you ever do any activations, I think that'll help clear that up. So
Yeah. It definitely takes a better pre-conversation to talk about train and stuff like that. But I think ultimately that's probably good, and I think LJ did a great job down there, like preparing players for that and player meetings leading up. He really talked about like that pre-player conversation. And I think talking to Nima too, I think that Nima was radically surprised that there was as few judge calls as there were. They were definitely busy and they were definitely running around, but like he like from just talking to Nima for a few minutes, he really kind of said some things that he just felt like the conversations got better at the beginning of the game and eliminated a lot of the things that they would have made judge calls on in years past. So I think that was good. I think that there definitely is way more heavy cover, but as our game's gone on, like we've had escalation of dice too. There's way more dice in all of these shots, you know. So I don't know that more heavy cover is a bad thing necessarily, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. Won 2-1 first day, 2-1 second day, and then me and my son played teams together, and we won both our teams games. So 6-2 on the weekend.
Nice. Very
So
good.
yeah,
Good job.
it was a blast, and it was great to see a bunch of people I hadn't seen in a while, and have
Yes.
some beers at Hofbrew House, and you know,
Gotcha.
it was a great time. So
I also seen you repping the Friday Night Fights jersey, which is sweet. Thanks for posting the picture.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good. So hopefully people didn't give you too much slack being associated with us jokers over here. So yeah, and maybe get
yep, there
free
was
hugs.
two jerseys in the hall on Thursday or
Oh,
on Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who else? Who else was rocking a jersey? In
What was
there?
his name? I forget. There was another. I forget. He came over and he had a jersey on. I'm like, yeah. So there was
Nice.
two of us, but
Nice. Well, I think the world's contingent
so-
will be even more, which will be great. So,
Yeah.
and we'll have a chance to rep our new ones. So, I guess you'll probably be fine if I just bring your jersey down to Adepticon, eh?
Adepticon's not sure for me yet.
Okay,
I'm
well,
like,
fair enough. Well,
I'm
if I
like
don't, I'll mail it to
50-50.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter gets married in early March, so if the fun points and the wife points line up, I would love to come. I do have an invite, but not 100% sure that both of the balances and the wife points and the fun points are going to say yes. So we'll
Okay,
see.
Gotcha. We'll see how that it's to be continued with JD.
Yeah.
So, no, that's fantastic. Just before we go, I wanted to well, and JD, you and I we get to play another game, but this pod round, which will be fun. Ryan, I wanted to go back to you for a second because I heard JD say all the things, and I wanted to make one point. I forgot about this. I think there's a difference between having a lot of judge calls and the judges being busy, and JD made that distinction, because I would guess that as it goes on, it may have been a case where people are like, let's check with the judges. Do we have this right? Are we doing this right? In confirming that. But there's a difference between that and having a lot of contentious judge calls or real critical ones where they're making a call that's going against one player or the other. I know that most of the conversations I've had in games haven't been disagreements at all. They've just been like, I believe it works like this, or this is how I'm interpreting that. Do you confirm? And that just makes for a much easier flow to a game of Legion, which is good. But I wanted to ask you, Ryan, because you kind of raised a point before, what were players having the most difficulty with digesting, or was it just a wonkiness in their opinion of some particular rules?
It was, I think, mostly, and Justice can correct me as well, but it felt like it was just the whole wonkiness, because most of us there, I'd say at least a good majority, because we had 18 players, most of us play competitively. So when you got guys who play competitively trying to adjust to this, it didn't feel as great. Not all of us were huge fans of the rules to begin with. A few of my buddies are focusing a little bit more on AOS and 40K as well. They'll still play Legion, but it was mostly cover rules, defining terrain, but then just watching units like Dooku or Vader climb. Like, a lot of it felt like the climb mechanics were a little broken, made a lot of units feel underpowered. Just didn't really feel like there was much of a balance, which I was going to bring up because a lot of people after Sunday were saying, oh, AMG's got to deal with Blizzard Force, but I like to think I live in the real world, and I still remember AMG saying we don't like making tweaks to our games. But when they do, they tend to hit things with a hammer or go like a bull in a china shop. The one that sticks to me is with the X-Wing community, to where I can't think of which unit it is that they came up with, but before it got released, they banned a card for competitive play right away before it even hit the table. So with that, I'm like, first of all, they changed the rules 2.5 months before Worlds. Not exactly the smartest move, in my opinion. But the fact that people think that they're going to totally change a Blizzard Force now a month before Worlds, about a month and a half, I don't see happening when they're putting all their chips into Shatterpoint right now.
Right. Well,
So go ahead.
No. You finish because I'm going to end
Oh.
with this question. So.
Okay, because that's part of the other reason is I feel like Legion is probably going to get the same treatment as X-Wing and Armada, just because they haven't announced a new organized play system. Because now would be the right time to do it, a few months before Worlds instead of a month after Worlds. It's just easier to just cycle through. So that's part of it, but also because they're super hyped for Shatterpoint. Everyone's getting excited for it. I got a feeling they're going to put all their chips into that. Everything else is going to go to the back burner. And the Legion community will probably be the Legion community constantly pestering them like, hey, what do we got coming out? Is there anything new? And they'll probably give the same response. We don't have anything new currently. Here's this print and play thing. Or here's this narrative kit. Again, I like competition. I'm a very competitive individual. I love it. And that direction that AMG has historically gone through, it's not my cup of tea.
Well, fair. I can't speak. I can't predict the future. Maybe the announcement of the organized play will be at Worlds. Maybe it won't be before, but maybe it won't be after either. Who knows? I'm going to leave you. We'll do a quick roundtable because I got 2 questions specifically related to both Blizzard Force and Battle Forces in connection. We'll start with Jace. Jace, it's a yes or no question on these. You can't have any qualifiers. Will Battle Forces ever be, and you used the word ban, so I'll use that word, banned from competitive play? Do you think both current and future releases may be banned from competitive play?
No.
JD?
Nope.
Ryan?
Not a chance.
Okay, fair enough. And then next question. Blizzard, I got 3 here. Blizzard Force, Jace, yes or no? Will get a change, a radical change, well, a change of any kind, I guess, before Worlds, pre-Worlds.
Before Worlds? No.
Yep. JD?
I think if they do, you see it this week, but I would say no.
Okay, Ryan?
Jay said afterwards, I don't think they're going to touch it at all.
Okay.
I think what we've saw the last 2 tournaments, and I put this in the LVO stream, is that we should just give help me out, who won?
Kyle?
Kyle, yeah, just give him the trophy right now. don't even it. The fact that the same individual runs the same list, slightly different bid, goes to 2 major tournaments, and wins. That's another reason why I'm not playing in Worlds anymore.
He's also exceptionally good.
He's good. Yeah, I'll yeah. I'm not saying he's not, but when you have an individual do that, I could put all my money on him right now, and I'll probably win that bet.
Okay, last question.
I don't know.
Related.
He played just to kind of. He played several games that were very, very close. I haven't watched the final yet with Dashes, but I know that the game that he played with Doc, and that was a mirror, a team mirror. That was a very close game, and the game against the 6-act list, that literally could have gone either way. And those were both that was round 5 and round 7. So he was tested several times with that list. It wasn't like it was unbeatable down there.
No, and that's I was gonna do say. So let me ask my last question. I got a couple points, and then we'll get out of here. So so Jace, will Blizzard Force win Worlds?
I'm gonna say yes.
JD?
I'll say no.
And Ryan, you've already gone with mailed Kyle the trophy.
Yeah, I would say there's at least a 90% chance it will. There could be, 5-0 first was close, so you're gonna have your dark horses. But do I think a 6-act is gonna win it? No,
not 6-acts. No, Blizzard Force.
No,
Blizzard Force.
Yeah, Blizzard Force. Yeah, but to quite the people in the peanut gallery of a 6-act list doing it, I don't think it will. But
I think
Blizzard Force.
And I'm not
90%.
saying that it's going to be that list that beats it. I just think that there's several things out there that are, whether that's the the list that Griffin was playing was like amazingly like equipped to handle it with the
Trip
the
Flame
flamer
Spider,
spiders
yeah,
and
4
all the
B2s.
B2s.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was talking
that
to
list I
Jace.
could see win worlds.
I was talking
Like,
to Jace pre-show, and I was saying like I have been toying around with Ions, Flames, B2s. I think they're all great because here's why. Anything that eliminates cover is fantastic right now. Anything that just eliminates cover takes that conversation away. And then if you're chucking big dice pools into units, that's going to help you even more. So the archetype of that list, whether it's that particular configuration, those keywords in synergistic formats are great. And I think JD's 100% correct. So I did want to say a couple funny things. I was wondering, Ryan, if you are announcing your retirement, do you have to return that bowling trophy that you won? Because you took that.
No.
Right?
So here's the funny thing. I'm keeping that, but also where I got my Iowa Cup trophy, because I don't bowl, Sean. They also have Conquest tournaments, so I'm going to continue to spread my reign of terror over there.
Okay, that's fantastic, which is good. JD, I'm not sure if you caught in chat, but Justice officially is ducking me because he's actually seen if you want to play this weekend, which is just nasty. I'll put that comment up just so everyone can see that. See, it's now official. Lives in infamy, ducking me 100%. Frank's joining us late in chat here, and then so that's good. And I want to say too what JD was pointing out. Now Kyle obviously plays Blizzard Force far more efficiently than me. But I've had some really lopsided victories with that list as well, and I've had some close losses. But I've also had some really tight games. Like JD and I played a fantastic mirror game, and it really comes down to like situationally, like we were one up, back and forth, the whole thing, and it was like literally last shots of the game that him and I were come down to. And I feel like that's when Blizzard Force plays a tight game. I feel like they're going to be on that cusp. Sometimes it's just going to fall their way and they're just going to steamroll. They're going to get the shot and go break through and score all the things in a corner or steamroll a list that's got no answer to the bikes. But I think you can play Blizzard Force tight, and I think we got 49 days for people to really develop some strong counter archetypes to Blizzard Force. And I think some of those lists are still going to be good against many other factions. I think if it kind of go rock, paper, scissor, that makes Worlds a little bit crazier. I'm not saying people won't do that, but I think we're going to see some cool Legion tech develop in the next little bit leading up to Worlds, and that I'm pretty confident in. So, yep, for sure. Okay, gents. Well, Ryan, hopefully since you're not playing Legion, we'll still get to chat sometimes, and you can come on from time to time and give us your Shatterpoint updates as you
most definitely.
Hard shift over to Shatterpoint.
Even though I will not be playing Shatterpoint.
It's fine. I'll just continue the meme because you know that we're transitioning heavily to Shatterpoint here apparently as well.
Which means you're transitioning to MCP.
Yep. Yeah. I am not doing that either. I can.
But hey,
I can't invest myself in I can't invest myself in anything other. I'm in deep in Legion. I feel like it's an itch that I need to continue to scratch, despite all my my thoughts about it. But generally, I'm starting to warm up to all things. So I'm kind of in that it's okay sort of category right now. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely be lurking in the Discord. Like, I'm not leaving.
Except Jace might ban you, which will make it.
Yeah, Jace might ban me here pretty soon, so I'll have to get my burner account in there here pretty soon. But yeah, I'll be lurking through.
I will never stop hunting you.
Like, I love hanging out. Like, this is a good group of people. You guys tolerate me and all my shenanigans. But I'll also be at Adepticon for Friday since I got into my Conquest event, which is great. So I'll be doing that Friday and hanging out all day Saturday.
Cool. I'll be the guy that looks like me, and you can come say hello or avoid me entirely. But we know what you look like, Ryan. So and quite possibly at the Legion tables, they might just have a "We will not serve this man" photo of you too. So that
probably yes. I will not be surprised if the individual running Worlds will ban me and not allow me into the event center over there, which is their loss.
Anthony also pointing out that he doesn't tolerate you either. So,
well, I want to let him know I have the death system or the death penalty on 12 systems.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. After one meal at Denny's, Anthony also had a death penalty, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I bear witness to that. So sorry, I really actually don't mind Denny's at all. I just give them a hard time. So for things. So
I'm surprised they're not a sponsor going on the jerseys.
I mean, they very well could be. So somewhere down near the butt area would be a nice
There you
Denny's
go.
logo. But we've eliminated the
That
the
was the tramp stamp,
Yep.
There you go.
So JD secretly wanted to move the names because he was trying to open up real estate for the Denny's logo in the future. So
Yeah.
we've now uncovered the true motives of how that came to be. So, all right, folks. Well, fantastic. Thanks for the show. Thanks for the laughs tonight. I'm going to go eat some supper. And Jason and I will see you tomorrow night for a very budget
You bet.
edition of Friday Night Fights. But it will still be good. I just mean... it's tough to do full production value and play, but I will get steamrolled quickly, and it'll be all fine. And we will unveil the new terrain that we got in the packages. So come back at the very least to see the new stuff on the table. So, all right, guys, have a great evening. We'll chat, Ryan. See you later, JD. We'll
Yeah.
get a game in soon. Make sure Justice doesn't duck you for the full round, so we can get that bounty point that he's got lingering on his name there. So, all right, have a great night, everyone.
That's good.
See
Bye,
ya.
everybody.
Cheers.